Afternoon or good evening or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Depends when you're looking at this. What I want to share with you right now is something called instructional pacing. And as you see behind me, a diagram on something that we created here called the 30-20-10 model. And what this model is going to help you do is going to help you organize your classroom time, because you want to look at how your time relates to learning. And so what does this have to do with being an instructor? Well, part of your lessons in this video is going to be understanding how to reorganize the same amount of time in a different way. So for example, if we look here behind me, most people look at, I have to cover all the material, and as you've been learning, we want you to get it out of the mindset of covering. Covering is a negative concept that refers to I'm covering the material here, so now you can't see it. So what does really covering mean? It means a lot of things, but also means a lot of nothing. So we look at this, we look at block scheduling. So I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Are there any questions? More stuff, questions, more stuff, questions. And so what happens is that we have a cycle of just covering a lot of stuff, but no one knows really what that means. We're taking a look at here in this lesson is something about a spiral. Think of your classroom as a large spiral. And you want to spiral, loop back. Is it reinforcing? Are there any asking students to engage? So a spiral concept will help teach your students what they need to know, do, understand, and care about. Well, how do I do that? Well, here's a visual way to help you reorganize your classroom dynamic. It's called the 30-20-10 approach. Here's how to reorganize the same amount of time, but in a more effective way. So for example, you want to start your class. Let's say your class starts at 9 a.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever the case may be. What you want to do to start with is start with a warm-up. And as you would learn earlier, warm-ups could be a lot of things. It could be questions on the board. It could be a case study. It could be a lot of things you want the students to do. It's the way to organize students as they come in. You focus them on the board. So warm-ups for your review is exactly that. It's a review, just like I'm doing right now. So review is a warm-up. Very good. Now, after you do a warm-up, it could be a good 15 minutes for warming up. You're warming up the class just like if you're going to exercise. You want to warm up your legs and your arms so that you don't stretch. That ties into something about the emotional readiness to learn. Very important. What's an ineffective approach is just throwing people into material. Pre-learning is the next stage. What is pre-learning? Pre-learning, as you may have learned or picked up, is known as the KWL. Asking students what they know, what they want to know, and of course, what have they learned. Or something also in this handouts are something called the ABC brainstorm. You'll find out more about those as well. But those are great ways to get pre-learning. What do people know about the topic, and also connecting new information with prior information. Also getting the students actively involved in the learning process. So, after you've completed those warm-up activities for your classroom, getting them emotionally ready for the material that you want them to know and do and care about, well, what do? This whole principle is based on time. As you see, time is flowing in this direction in my diagram. First concept is 30 to 40 minutes. What do you do for 30 to 40 minutes on your topic? That's what you want them to know and care about. Well, how would you do that? That can be done through discussions, lecture, dialogues, using graphic organizers. That's when you're giving the students the information that they need to know, do, and understand. But again, what I find, just like this model, is what you want not to do. This model, you want to stop about the 35-minute approach. 40 minutes is tops. After 40 minutes, the human mind is probably checked out. They're not paying attention. And therefore, the faculty member is mostly covering material, but at the sake of learning. So when you do your class next time, pay attention to the 40-minute mark, at the utmost, 40 minutes. So that's what you want to get them through. What do you do with this material? After 40 minutes, what do you want to do next? Okay, the next thing you want to do is up to 20 minutes. What do? That's the applied activity, something where the students get to collaborate on the material you just reviewed with the student. This is where the learning process takes place. So what can you do? This is for the immediate application. Well, what are some of the things? You can do questions out of the back of the book. You can have them solve a problem. You can have them do a review. You can have them do anything you want to do. It could be we could be something called a think, pair, and share. Those things, you can do a TPS, it's known as, think, pair, and share, solving a problem, posing a question, working in small groups. But the key here is, and also a classroom assessment technique. That's also known as formative assessment, which is another lesson. But again, don't do it more than 20 minutes. This could be 7 minutes. This could be 10 minutes. It could be 11 minutes. The point of this exercise is exactly that, getting students to apply the material you just went over. For example, even if you gave a PowerPoint handout, give them something to do for this 20 minutes about the PowerPoint handout, where they get to solve a problem, they get to do a case study, they get to do something with the material. It's not just out in the thin air. They get to actually do something tangible in applied format. Now, what's the next step? Okay, let's say this took 11 minutes to do. Great, you review, and then you go into the next 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes of this particular topic should be the summary. What do you want the students to do? You want them to summarize their learning experience. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can keep a journal, have it for a grade. Rubrics are great for that. Asking the students what they've learned, the other part of the KWL. Down here's the learn part. Asking the students to write down what are the 3 major items that they've learned in the lesson. By doing that, it helps the students prioritize what's important, and you can help that out as well. Also, one other thing is the muddiest point, what's still not clear for the student, which is good for you and for the student. We call that a twofer. Good for you, good for them, so that everybody knows exactly what they don't know. And that's a great way to reteach or point them in the right direction. You want to provide the context of the learning. Why is this important? And also any kind of other formative assessments which are in the KES Online. Ask your TLC to provide more. So formative assessments are great. When you bring it, notice that this is a reverse triangle. You want to start your class wide and you bring it down to a narrow focus. You close the lesson out with a summary. And so then what you do is you start again. So this may be objective 1 and 2. This is now objective 3. So what you want to do is then you start over again, another warm up, and you connect the material that you went over in the first part for the first time, and you connect that with the next one, and you go on so it looks like a big spiral. This way you can organize and reorganize your class, how you present the material to the students with the student in mind. So this is the 30-20-10. It's very effective. You can email me, talk to your local TLC, and now try to apply it for your own self. See if you can rework how you normally do things within the 30-20-10 format. And again, this model is geared for the student in mind. How would you help the students learn the material? What do they need to know, care about, do, and understand? So thank you for paying attention to this brief video on 30-20-10, and let us know how it works for you.